Hello everyone, welcome to IGA Simplified. I'm Ketan and I'm a certified Sailpoint Identity Now engineer. The reason for creating this tutorial is like I have been working on transforms from the past few years, and I think like transforms is one of the most important feature in Sailpoint, where in each and every project, for each and every client, like we'll be using transforms. I wanted to explain transforms, I will try to explain as detailed as possible. For this, I wanted to like first explain few basic transforms, which we'll be using like in almost each and every project. And also, I will try to give you uh, scenarios where like I have used these transforms. Firstly, in this, I will be creating a few different parts of this tutorial so that like I will try to cover each and every basic transform in a separate videos. So please, if you like this video, subscribe or like follow this channel, and also please let me know in the comments like if you want to explain me a particular transform in detail, or like if you have any issues with creating transforms, and we can discuss more. Let's start the video. And firstly, I want to show you the documentation page of a SailPoint. So the documentation of SailPoint page, you can find it in, this is the documentation page. So this is in SailPoint developer community. So if you can just you can just search for Sailpoint ISC transforms, and you will find this page in developer community. So here, if we look at this documentation page, here it says they have given a detailed explanation, and also they have given some examples of what is a transform, and where we will be using the transforms. So here the description which SailPoint has given is, in SailPoint's cloud services, transforms allow you to manipulate attribute values while aggregating from or provisioning to a source. If you have already worked on SailPoint transforms, or you'll have like a small bit of idea, definitely, because the transforms like mostly like we'll be using it in identity profiles. So where for almost like for many identity attributes we will be using transforms. So we'll be mapping the transforms in the identity profile to identity attributes, and based on the transform logic, the identity attribute values will be populated. So for example, just an example, so we are giving an input to the transform, and the transform will manipulate or generate a output based on the logic we have provided, and it will give you an output. So where this output will be stored in the identity attributes. So here, for example, which they have given is foo, and they have used lower transform. And if you look here, so the foo is changed into here in the lower case foo. So here you can see here the input which they have given, it is in capital F O O. But when it is applied, the lower transform is applied, it is changed to FOO in the lower case. So this is just a very basic transform which they have used, the lower transform. So we will discuss more in detail about each and every transform. Like we will try to cover as many transforms as possible. In this part, I wanted to cover about the transform concatenation. So here, we go here under the operations. So we have this transform concatenation, and the concatenation transform is mostly like we'll be using it for the display name transform, or also like sometimes we will use it for mail to generate the mail ID as well. So the concatenation transform, it is one of the most used transforms in Sailpoint ISC. So the concatenation transform, what it will do, we'll discuss in detail. But we have in the operations, like we have different types of transforms here. So just take a look of all these transforms before using the transforms. So I really recommend you to go through this documentation. So before using any transform, right, for example, date compare or display name or first valid, just go through the transforms once, and go through the documentation, and what are the example snippet code snippets they have given. So just go through these transforms, then you will get a bit of idea, if you are mostly like if you are a beginner, or like if you are starting the sale point for the first time. So I will definitely recommend you to go through this developer community documentation. So I will mention this link in the description. So just please go through this documentation once. So yeah, always going through the documentation before we do something is very recommended, highly recommended. Okay, so let's talk about this concatenation transform in detail. So the overview which SailPoint has given is use the concatenation transform to join two or more string values. So in a combined output. And the concatenation transform often joins elements such as like first and last name into full display name. So for example, so if we need to see the concatenation transform where we are using. So for example, we have an authoritative source where you have the user data, and in the user data, we have the values of first name and last name. Okay, so we have a source for example, authoritative source. So let's say the authoritative source name is HR source, and we have the first name and last name of the user. So for example, let's say the account attributes. So the account attributes. So if you are a beginner, so just get to give you some clarity. So there are two different types of attributes in SailPoint: identity attributes and account attributes. So identity attributes are the attributes which will be at the identity level. So it will be same it will be same throughout the identity, whichever the source it is these identity attributes will be used at the identity level. These attributes will be unique attributes, whereas we have another type of attributes which are account attributes. So the account attributes are the attributes which will be unique to each and every source. So for example, you have an authoritative source HR, not only authoritative source. For example, like you have another source Active Directory. You may have the first name and last name attributes in Active Directory as well. And if you, for example, if you have another source where something like JDBC source. So in JDBC source also, you may have first name and last name attributes. All these attributes are account attributes when we are taking the values from sources. But on identity level, we have identity attributes. So please don't get confused with identity attributes and account attributes. These two attributes are different attributes. So let's say we have the source HR source. The name of the source is HR source, and in HR source we have two attributes, account attributes. The first one is first name, first name attribute, account attribute hold the first name of the user and last name. So the last name account attribute will hold the last name of the user. So let's say we'll take an example of Adam and last name as Jones. Okay, just as an example. So for first name and last name identity attributes in identity profile, we can directly map these values. So we can directly map the first name identity attribute with the first name account attribute value from HR source, and as well as the last name identity attribute with the last name account attribute in from HR source. But from client, we have a requirement something like the display name. So this display name identity attribute should be uh, in a way that it should have first name account a first name of the user space last name of the user. So it will be something like first name space last name of the user. So in our case, based on our example, the display name should be Adam space Jones. So this should be the expected identity attribute value. Okay, so expected display name identity attribute value is Adam Jones. Okay, so this is a very basic example. So I just wanted to start with a very basic example, Adam Jones. So here, how to achieve, how to create the transform, uh, and also I will explain you how to build the transform step by step, so that even for a very complex scenarios you will be able to understand how to build the transform in a way where you will not get confused, or you will not miss any other values which are required. Okay, so let's quickly go to VS Code. So this is a VS Code. I will be using VS Code to create the transforms. So what I will do is here I will create a new uh, code. So usually the Sailpoint transforms will be in JSON with in JSON format. So here let's see how to create the transforms. So if we go back to the transforms, right? So here you will see the transform structure and top level properties, which are all the required. We have few required properties and optional property as well. So here if you look, right, the required properties type string, name is a string, and required periodic refresh, it is an optional attribute. Also, if you scroll down a bit, we have other attributes where values. So these attributes, values is a required attribute. So let's see, we will start building the transform here. So as they have mentioned, let's see what is a type. We'll give a type. So the type of the transform is concat, and also let's give the transform name of the transform. So here name of the transform, it depends on for which attribute, how what is the naming convention that your organization or your client wants to create. So usually I follow the syntax something like this. So what I will do is I will take the example of I will take the example of the channel IGA. So here, so normally, for example, if your client name is IGA, then what I will do is I will create the transform in a way that client name or some value underscore identity attribute, identity attribute, and in in brackets type of the transform. So if we do something like this, so it will be very easy for you. Why? Because so sometimes what will happen is like we will have uh, here like you can use client name or identity profile as well, identity profile or any identifier here, or you can just mention transform as well. And here for the identity attribute, if you create the transform with the name of the identity attribute, so it will be very easier for you to locate the transform in the mapping. And also, when you look at this transform after some time, you will be able to understand like for which identity attribute you have created this and why you are using. And also sometimes like we have different types of the transform like a static or a concatenation, lower, upper. You can just mention the transform type here. So sometimes like it will also help you like if you have different versions of the transforms. So usually like I create a static transform, or I will stick to the basic like whichever the type I am using. Like I will just mention like a concatenation static. I mean it's an optional, or like I mean I am just giving you a recommendation like how to create the name. So for this in this purpose, like what I will do is like I will create a transform with the name of like my channel like IGA underscore, and here I am going to use this transform for the identity attribute display name. So I have mentioned display name. And here, when coming to the type, so since I'm using concatenation, so I will just mention concat. So this will be the name of my transform. Then, and one more thing like ID. So Sailpoint uses the attribute ID, and it will Sailpoint will use that ID value of the transform to distinguish this transform with other transforms. It is like a unique identifier. And when you are going to create a new transform in Sailpoint, you don't need to give an ID value. So once you create the transform, Sailpoint will automatically assign the value. So don't worry about the ID. Now, so we have given the name, we have given the type, and the rest of the values. So what we will do is, so we will need to use it inside. We will need to put those attributes, all the other attributes inside the attribute name. The attribute name itself is attributes. Attributes. Okay. So attributes is the name of the variable or attributes inside which we need to mention all the attributes that we are going to use. So if we quickly go back to the documentation here, under the attributes, they have only one attribute, that is values. And if you look here, values is an array. So values are are a type of array. So here, SailPoint is expecting an array of values here. So okay, let's give a array of values, and when we are going to give an array of values, we need to use this bracket, the bar bracket. Okay, so this represents that we are going to pass multiple multiple or an array of elements to the sale point ISC cloud. So in this transform, okay, so now this is an array. So inside this array, what what is expected? Okay. So in the concatenation transform, as we have mentioned earlier, so this is the expected outputs. Adam space Jones. So first thing is how you are going to look at the transform. Like when you are building the transform, let's look at like how you are going to create the transform step by step. Okay. So firstly, you need to transform something like in a the main objective is we have three different values. We have three different values that we need. So one is uh, one is first name, that is Adam. Come on, we need a space. What is going on? Yeah, we need a space, and we need another attribute Jones. So this is the expected array of values from Sailpoint. So if we pass this value, so what Sailpoint will think is, so this is an array of elements, and inside this array we have three elements. One is Adam, one is a space, and one is Jones. So all these are string values. So what Sailpoint will do is, since it is a concatenation transform, so first Sailpoint will concatenate all these values, all these three values. Okay, so first it will take Adam and it will add a space to it and it will add Jones. So once after this transform processed and it is completed, so we will have an output value something like Adam space Jones. So this is the expected behavior from SailPoint. Okay. So now let's see. So the Adam and Jones are inline hard-coded values, but it will always not be Adam and Jones, right? So this is just a name of a single user. But for other users, the first name will be different, last name will be different, but the space will be same. So our goal is we need to create a display name in a way that first name followed by space followed by last name. Okay. So for this purpose, what we need to do, like uh, we need to use, we need to fetch the values of the users, right? So, so as we have already discussed, so the values like a first name and last name, these values are stored inside the HR source, first name attribute and last name attribute. These two are account attributes. Okay. So we need to fetch these values. We should not hard code Adam and Jones. We need to fetch the values from the attribute dynamically. Okay. So for this purpose, what we will do is instead of just going like this, okay. So I'll quickly show you I'm just going to change the syntax. I mean like how it is being shown. That's it. Like I'm not changing any syntax of the uh, I'm not going to change any syntax of this transform. Just okay. What is going on? Yeah. Okay. So here, okay. So here we are just we are passing Adam, we are passing a space, and we are passing Jones. Since these attributes will not be like this is a hard coded value, but we don't need hard coded values. We need we need SailPoint to fetch the first name and last name of the each and every user based on the account attributes in the authoritative source. So what we will do is instead of passing a hard coded value, we will use another transform to fetch the first name and last name of the users. Okay. So what we are going to do is here. So we are going to use another transform from SailPoint, that is account attribute. So this account attribute transform will help you to get the specific account attribute from a specific source. So here if you look here, we are mentioning that in the sample transform, we are mentioning that source name. from which source you need to get the attribute, and the attribute name, which attribute value you need to fetch. Okay, so in our case, right? So in our case, like we have already mentioned that the authoritative source, or like just a source, like we can just mention it as a source. No need to mention it as authoritative source. The source name, the source name is HR source. Okay, so source name is HR source and attribute name is Adam. Okay, so let's build the transform. So first, instead of hard coded value here, we are going to pass a transform here. Okay, okay. So the type of the transform. Again, like we need to follow the same syntax, like how we are going to build the transform. So here, if we look at the account attribute transform, we have type, we have name, and we have required periodic refresh. It is an optional. So here, if you look again, so here like we have this attribute name, that this is a top level property. So one thing which I wanted to mention is, so when you are creating a transform and your main type you have mentioned, for that only like you need to mention the name. Okay, so in this case, so concatenation is a main type here, or this is the this is a transform and you are mentioning the name. When you are here, if we use another transform, this is like a nested type. Okay, so SailPoint allows to use the transforms in a nested type. Okay, so that means we can use the transforms within the transforms. So this is this complete object is a transform, and here inside this we are again going to create another transform. So here, so here like what we are going to use is account attribute transform. Since this is a nested transform, you don't need to like mention the name of the transform. Okay, so you just need to mention the type. Okay, so the type of the transform. What is the type of the transform? It is account attribute, as mentioned here. So the type is account attribute. You don't need to mention the name since we are using it as a nested transform. If you are not using it as a nested transform, if you are using it the primary transform, then you need to mention the name for sure. Okay, so let's go into attributes. What are all the attributes that we need? So source name, it is definitely required, because from which source we are going to get it, we need to SailPoint need to know, right? So it will go and fetch the whichever attribute that we have mentioned inside this source, and we also need to mention which attribute we need to fetch. So for example, uh, we have the source as HR source attributes. Okay, attributes, and here I will mention it as source name as HR source, and also whatever the name of the source, it should be same, we need to mention the same here. So if the name is like HR source, we need to mention HR source. If the name is something like HRS source without any space, we need to mention the same thing. There should not be any change to the source name. So since I mentioned HR source, I will be using HR source here. You can use since they have here, as they have mentioned, you can give application name as something like this, and application ID something like this. So like application ID is again the unique ID which SailPoint has given for this particular application or a source, uh, or otherwise you can just mention like source name something like this. So uh, if you already know the application ID, you can take anything like a source name, application ID, or application name, anything you can mention, and also attribute name. all after source name, attribute name. Yep, attribute name. So the attribute name, as I mentioned. So here earlier I have mentioned the attribute name as first name without any space, and the first letter F is in a small case and N is in a capital case. So I am assuming this attribute as the name of the account attribute inside my HR source. So whatever the account attribute name, you just need to give the same name of the account attribute. You should not change anything. You will find the name of the account attribute inside account schema. If you go to connections and inside connection sources and try to find the source which you want to like inside the source, so you will find that like you will see the name of the account attribute in the account schema. In the account schema you can find the exact name of the account attribute that you need to use. So here, as I mentioned, like I am assuming first name as the account attribute and last name as the account attribute. So I will use the same names. Okay, so first name. So what identity now will do? Sorry, ISC. I got used to identity now. So what ISC will do here is, so once ISC is trying to like uh, run this transform. So here we are mentioning that for the first value here, you need to go into account attribute. You need to fetch the account attribute from the HR source. So ISC will go into HR source and ISC will see the what is the value of the first name. Uh, and also one more thing which I just wanted to mention here is since we are since like if you are going to map this identity this transform to a identity attribute, or even if you are going to use it in the provisioning policy, in either way, first make sure that the account attribute the source HR source the identity already has an account in HR source. Okay, so then only so ISC will first fetch the details of the identity, and ISC will go to the account HR source account of the user, which is correlated to the in the identity level. So uh, identity ISC will go to the account of the HR source source in ISC, and it will see the what is the value of the first name account attribute. Okay, and whatever the value is there, that value ISC will that value will be passed as the input here. So in our case, the value is Adams. So this entire transform will return. So this entire value, this code will return the name Adam as which we have already mentioned here. So that entire part will return the value Adam, and same for Jones also. The Jones value will be like stored in the last name. So we can just do the same thing, right? Instead of passing a hard coded value, we can just create the transform with again type account attribute. Sometimes it will give auto populated values, but let's type everything. Account attribute, and inside the attributes, what we are going to do is we need to mention source name. What is the source name? HR source. And also we need to mention attribute name. What is the name of the attribute? Like is last name. So if we follow if we do something like this, then what ISC will do is, so when once we map this transform to an identity attribute, so what then what ISC will do is when it runs this transform, so first it will get the value of this particular transform. Like it will try to run this transform, and it will fetch the value from this particular transform. So this particular transform account attribute, it will return the name of return the value of first name of the user, that is Adams, and then it will add a space here. Since we are passing a space, it will just add a space to the name, to the output. And again, like we are using another transform. So if ISC run this transform, then it will receive the name, that is the last name of the user. Okay. So in this way, ISC will based on this logic, like ISC will populate the display name. So if we go back to the notepad, where right so here this value, this complete value will return Adam, and here we are passing a space. So this, once we put a comma, that is we have completed providing one value. Again we have a space inside double quotes, and again we are putting a comma. That means we have passed two elements, two values. And again as the third value, we have passed this entire code block from line number 14 to line number 19, sorry, 20. So this code block will return the name Jones, the value Jones. So this is how the output value will be built as Adam space Jones. So this is how we use a concatenation transform to build it to for the display name to build a logic, something like this. Okay. So I think so I think since it is a very basic transform, I think you have understood this. So if you have any doubts, or if you have any more comments, or if you want me to explain any other use cases, please let me know. I'll be happy to create another video, or to explain the transform, or I am happy to explain in the comments as well. And also uh, uh, if you want me to explain any other transform, please let me know in the comments. And uh, yeah, please go through the video completely, and I have tried to explain as in detail as possible. So yeah, definitely I hope you will understand, and you will get a good learning of how to use the concatenation transform, and how to use the account attribute transform in this part 1. So I will try to post more videos on other transforms, conditional transform, or date compare, date format, date math. All these transforms I will try to create videos. So I'm thinking about creating a video, the next video on first valid transform. So yeah, thank you so much everyone. Thanks for your valuable time. See you in the next video.